Hello again. Hope everybody's October is off to a good start after we jumped into the silent era last week. This week we're going to be jumping ahead into the 80s and returning to good old slasher territory. Specifically, we're going to be going into one of the most infamous slasher films of the 1980s, the 1982 chainsaw cult classic, Pieces.
Warning, what you will see in the movie Pieces cannot be revealed. Pieces, absolutely no one under 17 will be admitted.
Pieces is an early 80s Spanish-made horror film, although it's easy to assume it's an Italian film with all the blood, poor dubbing, and stiff dialogue.
My name's Jennings. We try to come up with a psychological profile of the killer.
It was very controversial upon release, making its way into Britain's Video Nasties list.
The Home Secretary, Michael Howard, has said he will look closely at a report which says there is a link between violent videos and crime. But he said it would be an extreme step to ban the videos simply on the grounds that they were unsuitable for youngsters. More than 200 MPs say he should.
Cocksuckers.
I found about as I usually did back in the day, browsing IMDb and discovering that one horror film can share the same producer as another horror film.
They're all connected!
After going into a used movie and CD store, I found this little beauty. The 10 movies in one Fright Night pack, which had quite a bunch of good old exploitation classics. Kill Baby Kill, Devil's Nightmare, God Told Me To, Good Against Evil, Kiss Me Kill Me, Satan's School for Girls, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, Kathy's Curse, and The Ghost. It's a good thing my mom didn't ask what kind of movies were on this pack at the time, because I probably never would have seen it again.
The next time, young man, I find you with a worthless piece of shit like this again, you won't sit down for a week, buddy boy.
Next to growing in huge popularity amongst horror fans, especially in the age of the internet where so many other reviewers have covered it, Pieces is also notable for being the favorite slasher film of modern-day horror director Eli Roth. And while his movies are a little hit and miss, I can definitely not fault him for having good taste.
Oh, isn't that just dandy?
The film was produced by Stephen Manassian and exploitation producer Dick Randall, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Roberto Loyola, billed here under the silly but pretty cool pseudonym John Shadow. Kinda sounds like the name they give the protagonist in a Steven Seagal movie. Directing duties went to Spanish filmmaker Juan Piquer Simón, who many cult film fans would recognize the work of, also being the director of Supersonic Man, Slugs the Movie, and the famous MST3K highlight film Extraterrestrial Visitors, aka Pod People.
You want to make a movie, you gotta break some eggs.
And with all the pre-plot ramblings out of the way, let's jump into the movie. The movie opens in Boston, 1942, and if you're wondering how many Boston landscapes appear in the film, not a lot. Despite the setting, the movie was actually filmed almost entirely in Madrid. As someone who has family ties to Boston, I just have to say, boo!
I got this rat, this annoying fucking rat.
We see a little boy putting together a jigsaw puzzle, humming a nursery rhyme.
He sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a big fall.
The kid's mother comes in and discovers her cute, innocent-looking son is putting together a porno puzzle.
Well, there's something you don't see every day.
She doesn't take it well and goes completely tits up.
Where did this filth come from? Answer me! Answer me! Playing with filth like this. I'll kill you if I ever find stuff like that in the house again.
Every guy who's been caught looking at porn by his mother can completely relate to this scene. Although I'm pretty sure most of us didn't react as strongly as this kid. This must be where James Dobson got his views on pornography. The crazy brat cuts his mother up and then finally finishes his puzzle. The bloodstained cooch is a funny touch. The cops eventually arrive, discovering the bloody crime scene. They find the kid in the closet, and as wooden as his acting is, he totally sells the so innocent there's no way he could have done this act.
Big man, Mommy!
Oh,
Mommy.
Timmy.
Where's Mommy?
Take it easy, kid. You're safe now.
And the Oscar goes to...
A neighbor says that she'll contact his aunt, who lives in Europe.
You guys, can you help me out? What does it mean?
After a delicious opening credits sequence, we cut to 40 years later at some college in Boston, where we see a college girl cruising through the campus on a skateboard.
Hi! Hello!
In a moment that looks like it belongs in fucking Wayne's World, two movers carry out a ridiculously large mirror. The girl notices too late. For anyone wondering what the purpose of this scene is, this moment of the glass shattering is what's supposed to have triggered the now adult killer to break out his old puzzle, reassemble it, and go in a killing frenzy. This is never explained, so it just comes off like the most random moment in the film. Well, second moment, but we'll get to that later. We then see, and I never realized this until recently when reading up on the film's IMDb page, the same girl who smashed into the mirror, completely okay, studying out on the campus grass, wearing a skirt so short I'm surprised we didn't see her anus. She soon loses her head.
That's not the way to get ahead in life. You'll never be the head of a major corporation.
Okay, that'll do.
Okay.
The college's English accented dean, wink wink, Dean Foley, played by Edmund Purdom, meets with police officers Lieutenant Bracken, played by the once again gone too soon Christopher George, and Sergeant Holden, played by Piquer Simón regular Frank Bana.
Keep all this as quiet as possible.
Don't worry, sir. At this point in the investigation wouldn't help us either. We'll do our best.
So you say you didn't know her very well. Match.
God, Christopher George is so good. With the cops on the hunt for the identity of the killer, we're introduced to not one, but two red herrings. Anatomy professor Arthur Brown, played by Jack Taylor.
Oh, Professor Brown, what are the pectorals? They say mine are funny.
I assure you, you have nothing to worry about.
And groundskeeper Willard, played by Paul L. Smith, who many might recognize as Bluto from the Robin Williams Popeye movie.
When do you expect your work will be finished here?
I don't know. Maybe in a week or two, maybe more.
The sooner you finish here, the sooner you'll be able to accept another job elsewhere.
I'll be as quick as I can.
Good.
Even if this dude isn't a killer, he definitely looks like someone you don't want to fuck with. From there, the film is a non-stop mystery ride of college girls getting chainsawed to bits. A lot of these very impressive gore effects achieved by using dead animal carcasses and real blood taken from a slaughterhouse. I mean, hey, if they're already dead.
How can you argue with that?
During these kills, the killer takes a limb from each victim, and we see him reassembling his original bloody puzzle, while simultaneously stitching together the chopped up body parts.
Essentially creating a human jigsaw puzzle of his dead mother.
I know it sounds crazy, but... no, it's just crazy.
It's Freud. Well, then Freud's a sick fuck, and you are too for bringing it up.
The second victim is a girl going for a nude nighttime swim in the school pool. As all college girls do at some point. She gets killed off in a pretty inventive fashion. Doesn't matter if it's in the dark, that is quite a view. While Willard may not be the killer, he doesn't do himself any favors, attacking the cops like a fucking lunatic.
Hold it, or I'll blow your brains out.
After an incredibly dumb line.
Now look, Professor, could that have been done with a chainsaw, like that one over there?
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
The cops are introduced to the boy the girl is planning to hook up with at the pool. College ladies man Kendall, played by Ian Sarah.
So I don't think you sawed up Susan. You know, Alicia,
That blonde in anthropology?
Wow, Kendall, how do you do it?
I just whistle and they come running.
How the fuck do you have like 2 good-looking girls who want you? You're the most hideous nut I've ever met.
Lieutenant Bracken suddenly decides Kendall is the perfect person to use as the eyes and ears on campus, even giving him tasks that should really be done by the police themselves.
23 hours. My eyes can't take it. Remember that kid, Kendall? I'll see if I can get him down there to you.
We can't use a suspect. You must be kidding.
Suspect? You're crazy. That kid's clean and you know it. He could smell something suspicious faster than we can.
He fawns over this guy so much that I honestly think Christopher George just wants to fuck him.
Oh, Kendall.
But then again, who wouldn't? Bracken and Holden eventually bring in undercover cop and former tennis player Mary Riggs, played by Linda Day George, Christopher George's real-life wife, to pose as the school's tennis coach to possibly catch something. A reporter from the Boston Globe starts nosing around.
Could I talk to you for a moment?
Unfortunately, I'm far too busy.
It has to do with what's been happening.
Nothing's been happening, I assure you. Nothing out of the ordinary.
The killer, whose design was based on the comic book character of The Shadow, sets his sights on an aerobic class. Of course, Simon originally wanted all the actresses to be nude during this scene, but the woman playing the aerobics instructor, an actual aerobics instructor herself, refused, saying it would be unrealistic. Really? In this film? The killer stalks his third victim through the darkly lit hallway. She encounters the killer, but eases up because apparently she knows him.
Oh, dear sir, he made me jump.
She doesn't lose her head, but she won't be doing aerobics anytime soon.
No, please!
Oh, for God's sake, go normal!
Meanwhile, after a hot evening with a less than intelligent fellow student...
Oh, honey, where are you going? What if you gagged me? I wouldn't make any noise then.
Kendall notices Mary walking about at night. After a few tense moments in the dark, Mary finds herself being attacked by a crazy Asian guy. Kendall arrives, revealing he knows the guy.
Oh, hey, it's my Kung Fu professor.
I didn't know colleges had those.
What's the story, Chow?
I am out jogging, and next thing I know, I am on ground. Something I eat. Bad chop suey. So long.
Take it easy.
I got nothing.
If any of you are wondering what the ever-loving fuck this completely random and possibly racist scene was all about, P.P.S. producer Dick Randall was involved in producing many kung fu action films starring Bruce Lee lookalikes, aka Bruceploitation movies.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
This scene was put in to promote one of the lookalikes, Bruce Lee.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Even with that explanation, this whole scene is completely random and unnecessary, although I will admit, it is kind of hilarious.
Bad chop suey. So long.
Take it easy.
We get a possible hint at a romance between Mary and Kendall, but it never goes anywhere. There was originally going to be a love scene between them, but Linda Day George wasn't up for it, so we just get a jump scare.
Casanova!
Dumb cunt.
Oh, remember that Boston Globe reporter? Well, sneaking around, trying to get the bloody scoop, leads to her becoming victim number 4, in what is probably the most creative death in the film.
Something down there, Chief?
No, I just think I'm gonna barf.
The next day, one of the college girls continues practicing for the tennis games. She hits the showers, and I mean really hits. The
Weirdest thing is like a lot of butt cheeks I'm seeing.
The killer strikes mid-dress. Fun fact, the girl peeing herself right there, that was not an effect. The actress actually did piss herself because she was so afraid of the chainsaw that was actually running and not that far away from her at the time. That, along with springing that she'd have to shoot the scene completely naked right before they started filming, adds to Piquer Simón's increasingly large list of very questionable decisions.
We had to get her used to the punishment. We apologized for it a few years later.
After being absent for a while and apparently completely cleared of being a suspect, Crazy Eyes Willard reappears. Again, not doing himself any favors when it comes to not looking suspicious.
There's a phone in the janitor's room. Willard has the key.
Wait over there.
He helps Mary and Kendall get inside the locker rooms where they discover the remains of the tennis student. When today George decides to go full mommy dearest with her reaction.
Bastard! 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 Damn!
After a reasonably effective fake-out scare with Kendall, he goes to help Sergeant Holden investigate the college staff. Later that night, Mary goes to visit the dean to ask some questions. He acts friendly, offering her tea and coffee, but then he proceeds to drug it throughout the visit.
Eager policemen searching for dead bodies, or at least the remains of them.
And the girl would drink it and she's yours. Hello, America.
Which leads to the revelation, wait for it, the dean is the killer.
I'm freaking out here! Did everyone else know that Batman is Bruce Wayne?
As Mary continues to drink the drug coffee, the dean drops, not that it matters much, to Professor Brown, one of the people suspected of being the killer.
He's a homosexual. I found out about him some years ago.
Voicing a surprisingly tolerant attitude for the times.
As long as he doesn't break the rules, that's his affair.
The realization of the dean being the killer isn't completely surprising. There are actually a few hints, but it is still a reasonably decent identity twist. With Mary completely incapacitated, the dean gets ready to hack off her feet. You sure this isn't Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher film? Just as it seems that Mary is chainsaw food, Kendall, Lieutenant Bracken, and Sergeant Holden discover that the dean was the little boy from the opening scene. They make their way over just in the nick of time. Cause that's much easier than just using a battering ram. Kendall struggles with the dean before he's ultimately shot dead by Bracken. Everything seems conveniently wrapped up. Then we get a big ending jump scare.
Secrets like that all the time. Really?
Jesus Christ. If I have a heart attack, I hope you know what to do.
And just when you think it's finally over, we get a second jump scare ending, and probably the reason this film is so memorable. It comes out of nowhere. It makes no goddamn sense, but it is hilariously awesome in just how cruel and gruesome it is.
Pick this up, please.
I guess Kendall's days as a ladies' man are over. Unless...
If you're too old, cut the mustard. You can always lick the jar.
And that was Pieces, and goddamn, I had so much fun breaking out this old box set and revisiting this bloody classic. Yes, it's a little clunky in the technical department, has a lot of cliches you associate with these type of movies, but it is actually chilling with a good sense of dread. It's no Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's still a pretty solid slasher. The gore effects are incredible, and there's enough gratuitous nudity to satisfy any true exploitation junkie. And while the dialogue is clearly ADR'd in many parts, and at certain points not very well, you can't say the actors didn't give decent performances. Particularly once again with Christopher George, who this was actually his penultimate film, and a fun fact to go out on is George wasn't the only person associated with this movie to return from Grizzly, which I reviewed earlier this year, but we also got the return of scum cunt film producer Edward L. Montoro, whose company, Film Ventures International, handled the US distribution. Apparently Montoro was not interested, despite horror movies being one of his company's primary products. Producer Steven Manassian convinced him to attend a test screening, and Montoro was stunned at the positive reaction, watching the audience just lose their shit and laugh throughout the film. Hey, while it may actually be a little scary, it's still one of those poke and laugh type of movies. Montoro said it's not the type of film he would watch, but realizing it would make money, he was like, sure.
It'll make money. And that, my friend, is what we are all about.
Hearing about this almost missed opportunity makes me wonder, aside from embezzling money and disappearing off the face of the earth, was this cocksucker good at anything?
No, sir.
So that was my review of Pieces, which just turned 40 this year. It's a wonderfully depraved and sexy horror film that is definitely worth checking out if you have the stomach for it. I will see you again soon, where we will jump once again into the world of old school black and white.
The most beautiful thing in the world is smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed at the same time.